Right. Hello and welcome back. I'm Tom Burton, psychotherapist and musician. I'm calling myself the musician healer, and I'm doing short interviews. And today I'm interviewing John Kraus. Welcome, John.
Good morning, Tom. Good to see you.
Thank you. Would you like to introduce yourself to the audience and tell us where you're from and a bit about your musical endeavors?
Certainly. So I am John Kraus, originally from North Bay, Ontario, 4 hours north of Toronto if you take Yonge Street with all the stops. Grew up in the north, did my music training at the University of Western Ontario in the 80s. Had an opportunity to spend 30 plus years as a music educator, both in the public sector as well as in the private school system here in Ontario. Originally started my teaching practice in Ajax, Ontario, and then eventually moved up to Lakefield, Ontario, just northeast of Peterborough, working at a private school here. Opportunities to work with kids from all over the world. And I talk about kids in the sense that since I've retired, I'm one of those people who don't believe that age is an issue when it comes to talking about kids. We all grow up, some of us even mature. But the element for me in particular, right from the get-go when I started my teaching career, as well as now in my professional musician aspect, is that music is an opportunity to express yourself and to enjoy not only the art, but also the people that you're making music with. In the most recent past, I'll say, I guess in the last 6 years, 8 years, I guess, I've had the opportunity to explore a very different side of music in that I've been an adjudicator. So going out to listen to festival performances of solos as well as bands and orchestras, literally all over the province of Ontario at very, very rural settings, I guess we'll say, right into the major urban centers as well. The focus, I guess, and the core to all this for me has been my passion for music and the opportunity to see and hear what people are doing everywhere else. I am married. I've got 3 lovely daughters, and typically there are cats around our house. And one of our little fur balls, the most recent addition to our house, is absolutely terrified of any instrument I pull out of a case. Doesn't matter what it is. She usually blows for the basement as soon as we start tooting and whatnot.
What do you play, John?
I'm a clarinetist and saxophone player primarily. But when I was in my teaching realm, my claim to fame was I could play 3 blind mice on anything. But I specifically chose not to follow those pursuits on the bagpipes or the accordion. And I say that's just out of principle. At any rate, the current circumstances with all of the COVID-19 and all that, it's sort of an extension for me, I guess, from when I retired, because when I retired about 5 years ago, the biggest hit right in the gut was not being in a situation, whether it was a classroom with students in a particular course or in a rehearsal space, whether it was musical theater production or was a band or choir rehearsal. I wasn't immersed in and around people, kids who wanted to make music. So it took all of about 18 months for me to get myself fully implanted into the local scene outside of my school. And I've since made appearances with probably 3 different swing orchestras, swing bands, a couple of musical theater performances, and music directing of a show that was done. Conducting orchestra that I've been involved with now for 8 years, as well as
the
Northumberland Orchestra, Northumberland Orchestra and Choir, just based in Cobourg, Ontario. A thriving metropolis of about 12,000 people, but we present upwards of 6 different programs a year, and it's totally a volunteer a volunteer-based organization
Mhm.
with people as young as in their teens up until they're not so much in their teens. We've got a couple of members that are into their 90s that are still very active and still very much contributors to the organization. Um, that I guess you could say has been my crutch, if you will, up until this point, because obviously we haven't been able to rehearse, and we unfortunately had to postpone concerts that were supposed to happen this coming weekend. But
Yeah. So John, um, I know many musicians are really having a hard time with this sudden
mhm.
stopping of being able to play, rehearse, perform with colleagues. What's it like for you? How are you managing during this time?
Well, as primarily a conductor, I'm using the time to prepare.
Mm.
Um, I've got an ongoing audition that I'm working on for a group in Ottawa, and I've just been asked to present a program of my making as compared to the one that I conducted for them in February, which was based on their making. So I'm getting all my ducks in a row for that, and I'm also getting my scores and music in place for the group, the Northumberland group that I'll be conducting next year again. Um, so I'm finding new music, obviously, because I've programmed it. I may have done it in the past, or it's new pieces for me. So I'm taking the opportunity to explore that. I've actually opened up a filing cabinet that had all kinds of clarinet music that, oh, back in the day I used to play that. So
Mhm.
let's see how long it's going to take me to get it back up to speed. Um, Connecting with other musicians that I do work with on a regular basis, both in a jazz and also in a classical vein, looking at things that maybe we could do to share with people online or whatnot. The technology, it's it it's there, yes, it is, but it's also a beast just to try and manage these different orchestras that are pulling together, performance of Nimrod. Holy smokes!
Mhm.
I can't imagine the editing hours. I don't have the patience or the endurance for something like that. So I'll leave that to all the technical gurus somewhere else. Um, but I guess I'm not minding the solitude right now simply
Yeah.
because um, the last 6 months or so have been very, very frantic with upwards of, in a week, upwards of 7 to 8 rehearsals that I'm leading. And it's giving my shoulder a bit of a break, which is good. It's also giving my ears a chance to experience some other parts and other music that I'd like to explore and whatnot.
Mm. Well, thank you. That's great. It's really great to have this interview with you, John, and to meet you.
I appreciate the
Um,
opportunity as well. Thank you.
yeah, and we'll stop it there. Thanks for joining. I'll see you around. Thanks, John. Bye.
And you as well. Thanks, Tom.